It has been 2 days since Seattle police removed barricades from the East Precinct and left. Protesters put up their own fences and spray painted cop-free zone and defund police. They say they're not going anywhere until change is made.
Tonight, Seattle City Council is looking for ways to cut the police department budget while activists call for defunding the police. The chair of the budget committee wants to cut SPD's funding in half. KIRO 7's Graham Johnson is live now in Seattle. And Graham, that council meeting began a few hours ago.
And Monique, it is still going on, and like all government meetings these days, it is entirely online. Council members are learning details of SPD's $409 million budget as they look for places to cut.
Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe.
Demands to defund Seattle police moved to the lobby of City Hall last night when Councilmember Shama Sawant let activists in.
First time in this building, and we're making history here, guys.
Today, people in this crowd were among those who called in to the first city council meeting scrutinizing SPD's budget.
We can be a lot safer and save a bunch of money if we defund police.
Budget Chair Teresa Mosqueda is leading what she calls an inquest into SPD funding driven by concerns over structural racism and the city's response to protests.
How do you keep the public safe if you cut the police department budget in half?
Well, part of what we know is that when you invest in community-led policing, you see less crime.
Mosqueda says it worked in Camden, New Jersey. The council member wants half of SPD's budget to go to what she calls upstream solutions to prevent poverty-based crime and to social service workers who can better respond to many of the calls police now handle.
Why is it that a uniformed police officer with a gun shows up for a mental health crisis?
Defunding the police is not the answer.
Jacqueline Helfgott is a criminology professor at Seattle University. She says Seattle has made major progress with what's called restorative justice. After federal reforms, the city has a new accountability system, and police training in Washington now focuses on officers being guardians rather than warriors.
If we throw away all the reforms that are in place, dismantle and rebuild, my concern is that we're going to go backwards.
Helfgott says surveys show Seattle residents want more police officers, and she points to the success of a program called LEAD, which diverts low-level offenders, those in trouble, to treatment rather than to jail. It is acclaimed internationally. Today I asked Teresa Mosqueda if she would cut funding for LEAD, and she said absolutely not. Live in Seattle, Graham Johnson, KIRO 7 News.
All right, Graham, thanks. The Seattle Police Department is speaking out about the East Precinct and the now so-called autonomous zone. KIRO 7's Dee Dee Sun is standing by live there for us. And Dee Dee, protesters and police now, they're both talking about how they're going to move forward.
That's right, Steve. You can see a group of protesters here behind me. I would say several hundred people are in this area, and they're talking about the future. There's also talk about rules and policies in this so-called autonomous zone. Seattle police say they're hoping to start the conversation on what's next, and they want this East Precinct back in service. A giant banner over the Seattle Police Department East Precinct says this space is now property of the Seattle people.
I'm at a calm, you know. I can't lie. I'm at a calm. Like, it's beautiful being out here.
Some have designated this area the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, or CHAZ, where food, medical supplies, even literature is free. And signs make it clear police are not welcome here.
An anti-racist zone.
Though some protesters say they feel the autonomous zone detracts from the goal of fighting for equality.
Well, this is not no Capitol Hill. We're not trying to take over a part of the city, man. We're just trying to send a message and get some justice and equality.
The Seattle Police Department Assistant Chief said today they've also received threats of arson.
We were made aware that there were several threats to burn down the East Precinct.
She pointed out the building is connected to apartments and businesses. Protesters say they're out here to spread their message peacefully.
Anybody causing any trouble towards the building does not have anything to do with what we're trying to do. They're on their own agenda. They are on a selfish agenda. Honestly, we're here for the people.
The fire chief was out here again today to make sure crews can still access any emergencies. He's also working with protesters to keep the East Precinct building secure after what appeared to be a malfunction triggered sensors that opened up the buildings today.
The doors got open, and you know, the goal was to keep the building secure. So in order to help keep the peace, I'm trying to help do that. So we're trying to secure the doors.
The Seattle Police Department said they and the city are working to restart conversations about how to move forward.
It's just a matter of establishing this dialogue. We would love nothing more than to be able to open all of our precinct buildings and for us to approach the table with a view towards equity and towards conversation and towards dialogue.
Seattle police also said they've heard reports of guards demanding ID from people at the barricades that you see here, as well as asking people for money and businesses for money to operate in the autonomous zone. The assistant chief said that is illegal and they are asking you to call 911 to report it. Protesters out here say that is not at all what they're trying to do. They want to be peaceful and just spread their message. Live in Capitol Hill, Dee Dee Sun, KIRO 7 News.
A reinstated Snohomish County deputy who was fired is recently seen on video repeatedly punching a suspect lying on the ground. This video surfaced on social media after the May 28th incident. This was near Mill Creek, and according to the sheriff's office, deputies responded to reports of a stolen car. They eventually identified the suspect as a 43-year-old man with a felony Department of Corrections escape warrant. Now, video shows Deputy Evan Tweet punching that suspect as he lies on the ground. The sheriff's office says the suspect was resisting arrest and digging his nails into the deputy. Now, in January, newly elected Snohomish County Sheriff Adam Fortney rescinded Tweet's termination. He and another deputy were dismissed last year after an internal investigation found they performed a warrantless search in 2017 and tried to cover it up. Fortney says they didn't intentionally violate the law. The sheriff's office says this latest incident is currently under supervisor's review.